Hello, and welcome back to KSP Real Solar System Campaign. With the Pluto encounter behind us, it is time to go back deeper into the solar system. The next target on the list is going to be Saturn, and with the right kind of maneuvering and with just the power of gravity assists, we can not only go for Saturn on this mission, but also potentially more planets after that. So I'm going to set up the maneuver node towards Saturn again. Saturn is going to be the first, or the next encounter rather, on this mission. And we do get a encounter there, though I'm just going to make some small adjustments here. And because I do have to think quite a bit about where and how we are going to approach Saturn, so that we can also get some gravity assists afterwards, because Saturn is also a great body to do gravity assists at. It is not as good as Jupiter, but it's not too bad. We can go pretty much anywhere we want, given enough time and fuel, if we can set up a good gravity assist with Saturn. I'm also setting up an encounter with Jupiter here, because going back to Jupiter could be pretty useful for future gravity assists as well. But keep in mind that this is just planning I'm doing here, and that I may change my mind later on depending on how the mission pans out, and depending on what kind of opportunities I see after winter Saturn. But for now, I'm going to keep these maneuver nodes. That will take me to Jupiter as well. You can see if I'm just adjusting the maneuver node there slightly to get that Jupiter encounter, and yeah, there we go. The next thing I want to at least try to achieve is a Uranus encounter, and that is going to take a bit of work. And presumably the Uranus encounter will come after the Jupiter encounter, and so I'll have to do both a gravity assist at Saturn and then Jupiter afterwards to get out to Uranus. And this is going to be quite tricky and require quite a bit of planning and revisions of that planning, I guess. But again, just doing the planning here, trying to see whether it is even feasible to go out to Uranus on this mission. And with a bit of experimentation and work, I do get those nice closest approach indicators, and then it's just a matter of corrections until there I hit Uranus. So it is definitely feasible to go out to Uranus as well. With further optimization of the maneuver nodes, I came up with this flight plan, and we are going to do a big course correction here. That is 762 meters per second, and that is going to take us in here and to Saturn. And then at Saturn we'll do a small gravity assist that will change our trajectory a little bit and take us out here, where we'll do a course correction again. That will take us back in here, around the Sun, out here to encounter Uranus. And then after the Uranus encounter, we'll swing back out here again and hit Jupiter here. Anyway, let's get this course correction burn done with. So I'm going to start by just firing the RCS thrusters. I'm going to fire them for a bit, because that will improve the overall efficiency of the probe, because the RCS thrusters have just 137 ISP, while I think the main engine is something like double that. So just shedding that weight, as you can see, is boosting our overall delta V here. The delta V indicator here is also declining steadily, just like it should be. And we should have enough delta V for all the maneuvers that we have planned out so far. But now I think it's time to get the main engine firing as well. Going to cut the engine there and do the rest of the burn with just the RCS. So let's see how. See if we cancel that now. We do have our encounter, but the Uranus encounter is lost, but I think we just need to adjust this a bit maybe. And that plan did not survive very long, so I had to come up with a new series of maneuver nodes. So we are going to do another course correction out there, and that should take us in again to Saturn, and it is going to take us quite close to Saturn, which is very nice. We'll go. And that will be another course correction made with just the RCS. Let's see how it looks now. Look closer at Saturn here. We can get in nice and close, and you can see we get a double encounter there, although I'm not too interested in that at the moment. So I have to think a little bit about this maneuver node again, because we need to ensure that we actually get that Uranus encounter. I'm just trying to get the proper plane adjustments here towards Uranus, and it is kind of difficult to set up all of these maneuvers and get everything correctly aligned. And everything is so sensitive as well to just tiny changes in direction and velocity. One more course correction is what it's going to take, I think, to get the Uranus encounter. So if I just burn, oh, there we go. There we have the Uranus encounter secured as well. Can I improve that? Yeah, we can do the course corrections for that later on. And it looks like we'll have to observe Saturn from quite a distance, because we're not going to get any closer than this. But that's, well, that's really just how it had to be. I would not have been able to pull off the gravity assist toward Uranus while still going closer to Saturn. Anyway, we are going to transmit all scientific data from Saturn as well. That is going to add up to something as well. Not quite as much as we got from Pluto, but yeah. Our mission is still not done, of course. We still have more scientific data to gather at Uranus. And I don't think you can spot any of the Saturn moons. There are only 2 of them in KSP real solar system as well. I think yeah, at least Titan and then Iapetus, I think. You can check that. Yeah, Iapetus. So it was a brief visit at Saturn before we head back out into the depths of the solar system. The mission has passed 100 years now, almost up to 110 years. That is one long mission. And we are not going to pass by Uranus at this current orbit here, because Uranus is already well ahead of us in its orbit. But we are going to come around again, head into the inner solar system before we are thrown back out again. And on the way there we are going to have another flyby of Saturn before we end up here, and then we have the Uranus encounter here. So that is a fairly long route that we'll have to take to get to Uranus. But that's just what you gotta do, I guess. The next target, as you can see, is going to be Uranus, but before we go to Uranus and have our flyby there, I'm going to do another course correction, because this mission can still keep going even after we've had our Uranus flyby. So what I'm thinking is that Neptune is not really in a good alignment for an encounter. So I'm not going to go out to Neptune, and that is going to be the only planet in the outer solar system that has not been visited by the Endeavour IV. So we'll have to do a separate mission for Neptune sometime in the future. Now, gravity assists can be used to not only propel a probe further than it would otherwise go, but you can also use it to slow a probe down into a lower orbit. So if I take a look at Uranus here, focus view, and put up a maneuver node, let's say here, and put the orbit quite close to the equator. Well, it's not really the equator of Uranus, I think, yeah. Uranus has a weird sort of equator where it's tipped over on the side, if I remember correctly, but that is besides the point there. If I get, well, let's see, if I get an orbit like this, maybe, that is quite close, just 87 millimeters. You can see that the projected orbit is now going back into the inner solar system. So we can go on and maybe set up a gravity assist that will take us to Mars. So if we start adjusting this a bit, so just some tiny adjustments, I am pretty sure can give us a Mars encounter. So we are going back, we are almost going back home. Maybe we can even go back to Earth with this. That would be kind of cool. But yeah, that is pretty close, and I think that is just a few course corrections away from an actual encounter with Mars. Perform the course correction here, and this is going to be a bit tricky because I have a lot of engine power. It's kind of ridiculous how much thruster weight I have on this. Oh, there we go. Let's cancel this and see how that went. So first take a look at how close we are getting to Uranus, and this does not look too bad. Maybe if I just make a small adjustment here. Yeah, that's a bit better, if you ask me. Sorry, yeah, my throat is a bit yeah, just bear with me. Take a look at Mars again, see if we can't get an encounter with, or maybe if I try to put up the maneuver node on the other side of Uranus instead. What kind of results would I get? I don't have that kind of delta V, so maybe the delta V, lack of delta V, is going to prevent me from going any further here. I don't know. Just gotta experiment a bit with the orbits here, and I should be able to get, well, yeah, there we go, there we have the Mars encounter as well. Now, we've been to Mars before, and I don't think we have any scientific data to gather there, but it is more of a sort of gives us bragging rights for having been to one additional planet. And that is good enough for me. And well, you can also do gravity assists at Mars as well, possibly, but we'll see about that once we get there. Another course correction here is going to maybe give us an encounter with Mars, but it does seem to be quite tricky. Maybe, but that is going to take too much fuel, so yeah. Maybe I have finally hit the limit for what I can actually do in this mission. I can get an encounter with Jupiter, but I really don't care at this point. That is not, I don't want to go back to Jupiter, because I have to look at the plutonium fuel that I have left, and I'm running out of plutonium quite quickly, so in a few decades I'm not going to have enough electricity to actually do anything with this probe, and that is really why I'm going back into the inner solar system, because there I can hit more targets in a shorter time span. Okay, last course correction now before we hit Uranus, and I know there's been a lot of course corrections on this mission, but it's just because they are completely and utterly necessary. So I'm going to fire the main engine, take a look at the map here. Maybe I should just be satisfied with this. Might be, yeah. That is, we'll have to do another round around here, and but I don't really have time for that. So we gotta hit Mars on the first attempt, or it's not going to work out. Time to collect the first bits of data from Uranus. So we are going to do the standard procedure here, and we'll at least get the data from space high above Uranus. But the question, as always, is whether we are getting close enough to get it from space low above Uranus, and I'm not too sure about that. So well, I think, yeah. Did I collect everything now? I didn't. I'm just double checking. So I think I did. No, not the temperature data. So good thing I actually checked that. So I'm going to take us in closer now and see. If I look at the map, yeah, we're still quite some distance away from the closest approach here. So I'm going to see what kind of data we can collect at the closest approach itself. You can see that we are getting a nice view here, but we could have been closer as well, I guess. And Uranus is sort of bland looking. It's just a fairly homogeneous light blue color across the entire thing. And we are in space high above Uranus, so we are not going to get any more data from Uranus right now, but that is, I'm okay with that. It does look like this mission is coming to an end now, because even with the best of my efforts, I simply cannot get that Mars encounter, which was the last hope I had of returning this probe into the inner solar system. Now, I do get a Mars encounter eventually, but the problem is that the probe will have died by then, because the plutonium in the RTGs is slowly but steadily draining out, and the power supply is down to a critical level even at this point. I think we have less than 25% of the RTG fuel left. So, but the fact that we can't get the probe back to encounter Mars and bring it back into the inner solar system does not mean that this mission is a failure, of course, because we have exceeded every expectation I had when I first launched this probe some 150 years ago, or is it 200 years? I can't even remember. But anyway, we have been to every single planet in the outer solar system except for Neptune, which we are going to do a separate mission for eventually. And this is, yeah, it really shows how tremendously powerful gravity assists can be. Going back to the Space Center, you can see that, well, first of all, this is year 2165. So the probe was in flight for almost 200 years. Ah, yes. And the Space Center hasn't changed a bit since we left. But anyway, we have almost 4,000 science points. So we're going to have a look at what kind of research you can do. And we're going for the closed cycle hydrolox engines, which is going to give us some space shuttle engines. And there is another nuclear engine here. Well, I'll take this large space plane nodes, and then I have 1,000 points left. So the drilling equipment is what I'm going to get here, I think. Yeah. So I'll take that, and I'll take these. Just some part upgrades. Yeah, I'll do that, and that is all the science points spent. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will join me for the next video as well, where I will be taking on some new challenges. Now that we have done so much interplanetary exploration, it might be time to work on new and challenging projects. But until then, take care and bye.